Hi, my name is Jaden Gorham. I'm from Hebron High School just outside Dallas, Texas. I teach chemistry and I started the esports program at our school. I've had the privilege of getting to implement gaming concepts into the curriculum just this past semester. And now it's evolved into this elective where we actually had over 170 kids sign up for it in this next coming year. And so, kids are, lining up to try to take this elective.
Gaming Concepts is an innovative curriculum that blends the excitement of competitive gaming with STEM and educational objectives to foster a strong sense of belonging among students. Schools using Gaming Concepts reported an increase in attendance of up to 10%, alongside an overall rise in self-esteem by 8.3%, and nearly 82% of students expressed they had never participated in any extracurricular activity before Gaming Concepts. Written by educators, for educators, Gaming Concepts features 5 unique courses distinctly tailored for middle school and high school students passionate about this growing industry. Bring the power of esports into the classroom, and you'll find just how impactful Gaming Concepts can be for your school.
There we go. Perfect. All right. Hopefully everybody can see what I'm looking at. We are going to get started with esports today. And why are esports such a good fit in schools? So, esports has been this boom that has kind of come out of what I would say has come out of COVID in a response to, everybody being remote, a number of incentives to get students to engage, an influx of technology and money into the school system. And from that, esports grabbed a good foothold in education. A lot of times during the pandemic, students would be at home online with their friends. And when that trend stopped, when we all came back, a lot of students became disengaged because they lost that social nature, that social connection through gaming. And so that's what students were trying to get back at. And then we were still trying to re-engage kids when they came back to the classroom because they had been out for so long. We needed something that was going to hook them and something that led into their passions, something that they were interested in as well. So, you can see students, esports students can take courses for credit. Those would be things that we offer. We offer 4 credit courses. Students can practice, right? So they can, students always want to have their why. Like we've done that a lot in education. I remember sitting in PDs and doing that, finding your why and listening to TED Talks about what's your why. Students need that too. And if you don't have a why in the classroom, you don't have a why as a student, you kind of just drift through, kind of aimlessly, not setting a goal, not having any kind of relationship to the school, not having a connection. And that's where esports comes in. And then finally, the competition piece. That's what everybody a lot of times thinks of, is that it's just, playing video games competitively, and playing against other schools or other, states. And that is definitely a thing that we've got. But that's not the whole thing. So you can kind of pick and choose when you're going to start an esports program at your school. You can have all of this, you can have some of this. You can start very small with a club or an after school, kind of activity. Or you could start with a course, one of our courses in esports, through curriculum and like scholarly gaming. Or you could go just heavy competition and you could just be a competitive team. And you can go do anything in between. It's really up to you and what you're comfortable with. So let's talk about some of the benefits of esports. Esports has a million benefits, but I can only fit 11 here on the page here for you to be able to read legibly, right? So I'm not gonna go through some of these. I'm gonna kind of highlight a few of them. But some of the ones that people don't really understand, physical health and wellness, that kind of sounds like it's counterproductive or opposites right there, esports and physical health. Well, when you start looking at what esports is and you start looking at the dedication and the kind of mindset that needs to happen to be a pro player, which is a pretty rare occurrence, those players are in pretty good physical condition because, if you think about it, it is hard on your body to sit in a chair for 8 hours a day. I know it's hard on my body transitioning from teaching to being at my desk for 8 hours a day. And so these kids with all their wrist movements and sitting all day, you have to be fit to be able to continue to keep on the top of your game. And so being, interested in doing things with wellness and physical health and working out and exercise and sleeping are very important. And we highlight that in the curriculum and the lessons that we have on how important things like that is. Emotional growth and well-being, that's kind of the same as what goes along with mental mindfulness and social emotional lessoning. Gaming can have both positive and negative impacts on students, right? So, you may have heard of toxic gaming, or, there are, all kinds of things that happen in a game with chat on, or with, voice chat on, or in something, in communities like Discord, where things can be negative. And this is where we kind of take this around and say, hey, let's turn this moment into a teachable, positive moment, a positive teaching moment. We see that you are having trouble with this other player. It could be somebody in the room even, or we're seeing this player at our matches, or we're seeing this player online. How can we combat that with kindness, with understanding, with, all kinds of different approaches to de-escalate the situation? And this is where the curriculum and the teacher being involved is so important, because if a student is doing that at home and they're hearing things that are, negative, and things that might be racist or harmful or, disturbing, no doubt about it, those things are happening sometimes. But when a student hears that over and over and over again, and there is no other voice to combat that negativity, then we have some sort of complacency in it going through their brains, right? And so, when you're doing that, there's no teachable moment. And the kids can, if you start at a young age gaming, they can see that some of that language could be appropriate, or it could be okay to use words like that, or, and it's sending the wrong message to the kids. And so when it's done with an adult, then we can correct that behavior, and we can teach them, and we can model for them how to be the voice or the advocate for those that are maybe being put down online, or that are being second guessed, or things that are being, stereotyped online. And I think that's such a powerful message to students, to know that they can be a voice online for good. And as one of our lessons indicates, is that, saying nothing is a response. You don't have to respond to somebody because they're being negative to you. You can go through the proper channels, notify the administrator on the account or on the chat, tell a trusted adult, things that we've kind of gone through in education for a long time, just not necessarily in a gaming space. Those the messaging and the lessons are the same. Scholarships are huge. If your students are wanting to get a scholarship for esports, there's a lot out there. And surprise, it's not all about gaming. It's not all about playing the game. There are students that get scholarships to be team managers. There are students that get scholarships to be like graphic designers, and like part of the team social media presence, like, PR kind of. And then, of course, there are players, and then there also can be coaches, and there can be coaching assistants. And so if your students are showing leadership, or they're showing, drive, they're showing skills in esports, universities are picking up on that, and they need these people in their teams. They need them on the team to be able to function at a collegiate level. And students are getting scholarships for that at an amazing rate, because I tell you, if I would have been able to get a scholarship when I was in high school for esports, that would have been awesome. That would have been awesome. I don't know how many else on here would have probably benefited from an esports scholarship, but I know I probably could have held my own a little bit back then. All right, so let's talk about a couple of numbers here. So overall, this is data from Wichita, Kansas. And so, when in esports, we see about 89% male participants, 80% not involved in any other sports activities or clubs, 70% failing one or more classes, and then 10% of your school will try esports if you offer it. So looking at these from an administrative level, you are going to grab a huge chunk of students here that are falling off the edges of your building. We had a directive in our building, in our buildings, excuse me, when I was a teacher for 100% connection. And so we wanted students to be involved in the school in some capacity, every student doing something. And esports is what pushed us over the edge to complete it, because there's always that section of kids that will never do anything. They're there. They're just either a name on a list, a number on a sheet, a body in the hallway, and they kind of drift through and they have no connection to the building. Not only are they disciplinary risks, but they are also sometimes academic risks. They are also sometimes social and emotional risks, but they just don't have a connection. And those kids tend to have behavior issues. I'm not saying that they all do, but sometimes it tends to show that when students don't have a connection to the school, then they don't care about it. And we can see that as a lot of us are educators, we can tell that. All right, so esports involves more than just players. I kind of talked about this, and we go through this pretty heavily to understand all of the different careers that are facilitated through esports. Esports is just the pipeline that allows you to get to all of these different avenues of career. So, marketing, information technology, health, events and production, business, competitive, media and content, education. I mean, I've already said education, but so there's a lot of different ones here. And we highlight a lot of these because some of them are like, we don't, how does esports fit into that? There's a great program at the Southern Poverty Law Center, maybe. Chris Turner, who's big into esports, he helps to run an esports law course, and it's super awesome to know some of the stuff that he knows about esports law and litigation through esports and on all the things coming up, because it's brand new, just like something like AI. All of these laws and all of these concepts and theories are being tested on what's allowable and what's not allowable. So, if you want to go into esports law, that is a thing. That is a thing for sure. Let's talk about how your students are going to react. I said about 10% are going to come to your esports course or your esports class. Maybe even more will show up too if you do an informational meeting. So, who's going to be here and how does that look in class? Well, this is kind of a student leadership role in terms of maybe a competition team, but could also work in a classroom setting as well. So, students are going to be a president or vice president of the club or team. They're going to handle kind of administrative and managerial kind of things for the team. You could have them set up to be doing things that would be forms and registrations. They could be overseeing everything that's going out and have final say on a lot of things. President or vice president, if you're just starting out, you're getting to know your students. This is a great role for the teacher or facilitator in your organization here, in your esports thing. As you go to the social media, this obviously needs to be overseen by a teacher, but it doesn't hurt to have students create social media posts on Canva, or if you want to be more more in depth, they might be creating them on Illustrator or some other type of industry standard graphic design program. And that's awesome skills that students are going to be learning, and then have your say so to post those out. Team captain is going to be focused on mechanics. They're going to be focused on team dynamics. They're going to be focused on understanding the team and how the team meshes together. They might be replacing students on the team, moving team members around into different roles, because all the games are different. Not one, one game is not the same as another. Rocket League is not the same as Fortnite, which is not the same as, Apex Legends or Valorant. They're all different. And one kid might be a DPS or a damage person on Valorant, and then they might be kind of a tank or a leader on another game like Apex or something like that. And so the captain is the person who will know that and make those changes. And then finally, game expert. This could either be a player or could be like a consultant, kind of like A lot of times you might have kids that they just know everything there is to know about the game. They know all the maps, they know where all the drops are, they know where all the passages are, they know the trends on which way people tend to go. And so this could be a player, or this could be another student in there, helping guide the team to train them up. Any questions so far about any of this? Any about, esports, kind of its benefits and how it fits into school? If you boil it all down, what we're doing is we're looking at esports as a lens to facilitate student learning through what their passions are, right? So they're going to be learning things like digital media creation, digital literacy, life skills. They're going to be learning IT skills. They're going to be learning like graphic design. They're going to be learning computer science skills. There's a lot of skills that are associated with esports, and it all can happen through this kind of gaming lens, and that's what kids love to come and participate through. Okay, great. Also, stop me if I'm going too fast because I tend to ramble a little bit. All right, let's talk about who wrote the book, or I should say books. We have 5 books now. So Dr. Michael Russell, Dr. Christy Custer, Dr. Chris Jensen, these are the core authors of the books. And there are some, additional collaborators on here that help with it. I write some of the lessons, as well as a couple of other team members on the education team. But Mike and Christy, they started the whole thing, and wrote it at an alternative school as alternative school curriculum for their students. And Mike actually wrote his PhD dissertation on the study that he did within his classroom of the effects of this, and it works. It's just so awesome, on how this all works for esports in the classroom. All right, a couple of impact data here that you can see. So 96% attendance rate from 86% first hour. These are things that we have seen over time. This is the 4th year, just about the 4th year that this curriculum's been out, and in the hands of educators. 90% involved in extracurricular sports, have never been involved in anything else in school before. And then we have a 1.7% GPA improvement by doing this program. If students are doing well in school, at least in just one class, then they believe they are good in school. So it's very easy for students to understand. Some of the benefits that we have directly tied to the curriculum and some of the lessons that we have, all of our curriculum is completely standards-based across all 50 states. We are aligned to every state's standards system. So it doesn't matter if you're in Texas or Florida or California or Oregon, doesn't matter. We have standards matching courses in your state. Very easy to teach. It's kind of, it's plug and play. It's turnkey. There's a lot of phrases you could use, but you work out of the book or off of the LMS, and you are able to teach it or assign it to your students. Yeah, so we've got a digital framework that provides access to STEM fields. College and career readiness is built in with those kind of career connections we talked about earlier. Positive student impact, increased attendance, mental wellness. All of these are benefits of esports and of our curriculum. We did a national study on how esports can affect students in different cohorts. And so you can see here, these are the results of the study using the Rosenberg self-esteem scale. And so you can see the increase in self-esteem awareness and self-esteem reporting by these students being involved in our esports curriculum courses. And please stop me if you guys want any more information, because there is more to this. It's not just all slideshow, I promise. So these are the courses that we do offer currently. If you're looking to get started with esports in your classroom, fundamentals is our core our core course that is number 1. Usually high schools start with this one, and then you can start to branch whichever way you want to go. It doesn't branch the way the graphic shows, but it can branch in a lot of different ways. So this is probably a ninth grade course. And then interactive media is probably, could be either 9, 10, 10, 11. And then streaming and shoutcasting are 10, 11, 12, depending on what you'd like. Interactive media is a full graphic design, game design, media creation course. You'll build a full digital portfolio of lots of different types of assets, whether it's print, whether it's digital, whether it's video, audio, 3D models. A lot of different things are happening in interactive media. Streaming is really awesome because streaming actually replaces in the high school, it replaces public speaking. And so this directly ties to state and national speaking and listening standards for public speaking. And it is awesome to replace those outdated public speaking courses that are in your high schools. Shoutcasting replaces broadcast journalism in your high school. It ties to the exact same standards. It's only through a esports lens. And it is a lot of fun, and kids learn a ton on how to do shoutcasting and streaming. These two are the most technical and the most fun courses, I would say, from my perspective, just because you're doing so much. You're learning so much software, and you can learn it and you're doing it. So from a shop teacher kind of point of view, it's really cool to see the kids learning the content and then doing it and excelling in it and mastering it. Question here from David. Would you recommend fundamentals course for middle school? I would say 8th grade for sure. And it could even be, yeah, 8th grade. I would say 8th grade, 7th, 8th grade, depends on the 7th grader, but yes, it could definitely do that. That's a good question. We do also have digital life skills, and that is a middle school course built for middle school. So this one's actually really fun. It's a story-driven course. And so it's kind of like an RPG that your kids play with you through the semester. And so you generate a character, you come up with a character, and you take some personality tests, and that is how you get your kind of attributes for strength and wisdom and knowledge and dexterity. And it's a lot of fun. The kids tend to really like it. So yeah, so this digital life skills could easily be maybe a 6, 7, and fundamentals could be an 8. It depends on what you'd like to do. So, all right. So 5 ways to use gaming concepts and using esports curriculum in general. If you decide not to use what we have, so you could take the curriculum and you could enrich your after-school program, and that could be where you're doing 10 minutes of lessons or activity, in your club. And that's really great because, if any of you guys have been in sports at the high school level, I've seen that sports are tending to move towards having a little time for team activities and having a little time for some sort of lesson or something like that. I remember that our high school, the football team would do that every Thursday afternoon. They would be doing some sort of like journal, reflection, lesson, activity thing in the auditorium, and they'd be all doing it together. And this would be the same thing. You're going to do a little bit of lessoning on toxic gameplay, or a little bit of lessoning on maybe something where you're trying to understand team dynamics or something like that. You just pull it from there, whatever is kind of your fancy, and you do it. The other one is that you're embedding it into your pathway or your school day as a 4-credit course. And you're doing the coursework, the assignments, the projects in a structured course with a teacher. And then you could also loop that back around. And then those kids that are in your class would also be on the team, possibly. So those are the kind of the ways to do it. And then, of course, there's a million other ways to use it, however you need to or however you'd like to. I'm going to go in and kind of show you guys now what the program looks like if you were going to use it, and how it would work if you're in with us. Is anybody in here current Generation Esports or Gaming Concepts customers? And you've been waiting this whole time for me to show you how to use some of the LMS. Okay, perfect. So hopefully it's only been 26 minutes. I haven't wasted that much time because you've already heard this spiel before for some of you guys. All right, so let's get into switching gears here. All right, so let's talk about what I'm getting some on my bottom, my tray there. Let's talk about how the LMS works. So if you're already in with us, this is not going to be a full onboarding. This is going to be kind of a very brief overview, just because if you're not on with us, then that's too much. That's too much. That's a whole nother thing. So, our LMS supports, your classroom for your students. I'm just going to go here. Just a little bit up here. There we go. Okay. So, you can have all of your classrooms built for whatever hours you're going to teach. And I'm going to kind of go through that today with you. And you can see your classroom creation, some content, assigning content, and then we're going to talk about the lesson and how it looks. It's kind of be the back half of this. So online platform allows for all your students and teachers to be on here, unlimited users on here, which is so cool because it's not pay per license, it's not pay per use. Your school gets an entire license for the whole site. So, you're using this, and then, maybe one of your other teachers was like, "Hey, that's really cool. Can we use that?" You sure can. You sure can. So I'm going to click create a classroom. If you haven't done this before, I'll just kind of walk you through the process. So we're going to do a classroom name. Let's do Esports block 1. Description, autocorrect. Okay, let's see. I'll put it in the right organization. You guys wouldn't have that, so don't worry about that one. Thumbnail, I can upload a file here. This is really cool because if you're going to start out and use the program or use any program, this is a really great way, a great project for students right in the beginning to have some ownership of the class and some buy-in, is have them create your logo for the class. And it could rotate every week, every month. And so, we're going to be the wizards here. And then I'm going to have my cover image. Which one was that? Thumbnail, yeah. Cover image is going to be, these controllers look good. Okay, perfect. Next, we're going to talk about, oops, here we go, what days of the week. This is really great because it can save you a little bit of time, but is not required. So if you meet the same time every week, this works well for you. If you don't meet the same time every week, the system can be kind of funky because it does do every other day, but it doesn't always know that every other day doesn't mean Saturday and Sunday. So I'm going to click next. Grading. The grading system is currently being overhauled right now, so it is a mess currently. So we're going to stick with pass fail, and I'm going to click create classroom. All right. So welcome to my classroom. This is great because it shows, I've got overview, members, my grade book, and settings. It shows that image I put in there. It shows my classroom calendar. And then if I needed to grade anything, which I don't have any students in here, but if I needed to grade something, it would pop in down here. So let's go ahead and assign some content because we need to do some stuff in class. So I'm going to click edit content. All right, and this is going to show my calendar. And today, we're just starting today, right? We've had all these snow days. We're finally back in school. I want to assign an entire unit. So we're going to click our plus button and click import existing course. And then I can go over to my topic selection over here and pick gaming concepts. I can scroll down to whatever you have access to. So if you've got access to fundamentals, which is our first course, remember, then you've got access to these, or you've got interactive media, you've got middle school, you've got shoutcasting, you've got streaming. So if you've got everything, you can do that. And if you get anything from us, you will also get the summer school. I'm gonna throw that out there. I'm not a salesperson, but I think they told me I'm supposed to say that as many times as I can. You get summer school for free. All right, so fundamentals, we're going to do the first one right here, level 1. So I click select, it's going to ask me what days. Now this is where it comes in to pick what days of the week that your class operates. So if I need to change it, I can, but it's going to do it here for me. Start date, I can pick a day. I'm going to start it today. And then you could add skip dates, but that's not really important. You don't really have to do that. Click schedule. And there they all are. That's unit 1. Okay, all 7 lessons within unit 1. Each lesson is roughly an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. It kind of depends. If your kids are more talkative, if they're more engaged, it's going to run longer. If it's, a lot more quiet in your room, it's going to run shorter, or be a little bit more on you and the students to not fill the time, but to engage each other into either deeper conversations that are provided for you, the discussions are provided, or having a little bit more detail to your students in terms of what you're expecting from them. So in here, I can see all these. And like I said, there's skip dates. Well, let's say, let's see. Well, it's 4:30 here in Kansas City, and they've already told me that we are not going to have school tomorrow. So that means I need to move things around. This is the best thing. So I'm just going to take these and I'm going to move them over here. And I'm going to take these. I didn't move that far enough. It's a lot of fun just to mess around with. But there we go. I missed Monday. I did do it almost right. There we go. All right, so I've just moved everything around. I could have just done this too. I take all of them, I hold shift, I click the last one, and then I move them over a day. Okay, so this is really awesome. It auto assigns them, reassigns them to all the students. There's no going into each one and assigning to where it's going. Okay, so it's really nice that way. Let's say I want to add just one singular lesson. So we're going to say just import existing lesson. And now I can pick through here what I want. If I just want to do one like that, I'm just going to pick one from the second one here. Number 1, import. Okay, and there's my singular one. I can import lessons on top of lessons. So students would have more than, one thing to do. Maybe they call school off for tomorrow and Wednesday, and we're really behind, so we're going to double up that day, and we're going to do both of these. We're going to go really quick, okay? We can do things like that. All right, so that's how we assign the content to the students, and then this sidebar allows me to do a couple of things. One, it allows me to see kind of the table of contents for our lesson, and then also it allows me to open, edit, or reschedule. Reschedule isn't super necessary because you can just drag it, but if you really needed to move it far into the future, that's what that would be helpful for. So if I click open lesson, then it's going to open my lesson for me, and I can see that this is the lesson structure. This is what the teacher will see when they open it, because the overview panel, the first page or the first section in every lesson, is built for the teacher. So you've got kind of an overview here, and you've got your objective that you can put up on the board, materials and links that you're going to be needing, and other materials needed, what standards are being addressed, and then directions for instruction. All right, so like I said, this couldn't be easier to do. So a lot of times when I was teaching this, I would have this up, and then the kids would have theirs up, and I would be just kind of going through it with them. We kind of did it together, and it worked out really, really well. This one includes one of our social emotional lessons called Mental Health Moments, and it walks you through all of that. It walks you through the discussion and all of the information about the discussion. Then when you start it, this is where students start. So page 1 is what students see. It's no different from what you're seeing to what they're seeing when you get into the numbered pages. Okay, so what we can do is we can watch this video. The students can see their objective and things that they will need coming up. Then they can see this video is what we're going to do next. Then there's a short quiz. Oops, wrong one. I can see the quiz, right? So there's a short little kind of check for understanding video quiz for students. Obviously, they don't see it in this view. This is because I'm a teacher in here and I can see the quiz and the answers. Here's our mental health moment, talking about what are stereotypes. These are the prompts for whatever type of discussion you'd like to lead, whether it's, independent or, think, pair, share, or a whole group, whatever you'd like to do. Student survey will be done here, and then we'll do a classroom survey at the end. And this is an exam that students will type their texts in their text field into. Okay, all done. You get a little graphic, congrats, all this and that. And that's kind of a lesson. That's a really good example of what a lesson has in terms of types of assignments and types of activities. Others are more in depth, where you might be creating a video or writing some longer bits of text, or maybe a paper, or doing a presentation. All of these kind of skills and classroom activities are built in. They are normal things. So if I go back to my classroom, here's I can see my cool graphic here. If I go back to esports block 1, you can see, because I didn't save, oh, it opened in a new tab. There we go. That's why I thought I didn't save. All right, so if we're back here, okay, so when I clicked open lesson, it opened it in a new tab, and it left this one. That's why I didn't get the message on not saving. One of the other cool things about the calendar is that, let's say that things are really getting messed up and I need to move things again down here, because, I don't know, we're going to have, should have done that a little different. I'm going to click create a new lesson here, and this is where we can put placeholders in. So this is going to be pep assembly. Okay, so I can put that in and the kids are going to see that, or it's going to be sub day, and you can put your lessons in there if you want them to know if you're going to have a sub or not. But you can put whatever you want and just leave it empty. I mean, you could put whatever you want in there if you wanted to edit the lesson here and add some stuff. That's a whole other webinar on how to create your own content on here, but I will tell you, it's not very hard. So it's pretty easy. So that's how we assign content on here, and how your students can get to it, and how it looks on here. Does anybody have any questions of me going over that information? Things that they'd like to see, things that they didn't see. Here we go. When it comes to adding students to a classroom, how does that work? Do students need to verify emails for logins? Students with heavy text security and privacy settings make that difficult. All right, here we go. Good idea. I'm going to click save. And let's talk about, maybe you did some pre-planning. We did all this. And now we're going to get our students in and get that going. So we're going to go to members at the top, and we're going to click add students. It really benefits you from adding them within the classroom, because it already links them to that classroom, and it saves a step instead of you doing it outside of this in the side panel. So just know that that's how that works. So you can create a shareable invite link, all right? And it's going to automatically invite them as a student. You can't change that. Oops. You can't change that. It's automatically going to import them into this classroom. Can't change that, which is good. You can tell me when it's going to expire, how many times it can be used, and then you're going to click create a link. Okay, so here's my link. And this is what I always did in class, is that I just showed this QR code. You just click right here, and then the kids can get right in. It asks them 2 or 3 questions to get on there, and then that's it. Email, name, and that's it. Verify that you're over 13 is what it does. If your district is blocking that, then they will need to get the port information, which we can provide if you're having difficulty accessing the LMS. You could also copy this and send it out through your school email. You could post it somewhere where your students are going to have it. If you have an LMS, then you could post it in there as well. I would not invite users manually by email, just because emails sent from this system tend to be blocked. So generating the link is the best method. You'll also invite, if you wanted co-teachers, you can also add co-teachers in exactly the same way. So add by email, and oops. Oh, where is that? Well, they changed it on me. So the teachers are going to get an email, and teacher emails are a little bit less locked down usually than student emails. So we haven't necessarily, we really haven't heard any issues with teachers not getting an email, but students do tend to not get emails. Some of the other settings you can mess with, changing your classroom name, changing the cover image, the thumbnails, if you needed to archive your classroom or delete your classroom, and then if you needed to change that scheduling issue, that is also in here for that. Okay. Go here too. So, if you're not just using the curriculum, the gaming concepts courses, which we have, and again, we have the 5 courses for schools. You can also look through the course library that allows a lot of things aside from kind of scholastic or scholarly gaming or kind of, the schooling, right? The school stuff. And that's going to be esports training is another big thing on here. So students are able to access, and you as well. So maybe you want to pretend to be the Rocket League guru, and the kids had never known how good you are at Rocket League, but you've just secretly been watching these videos, and you just know all the lingo and everything. And so you can start learning how to do this, how to do Rocket League. You're going to be taken through the course. You can assign this to the students as well, just as easy as you did the content, the curriculum content. So this is just another layer of something that you can add if you're going to have students, playing competitively, or if they are having an interest in having some downtime or something like that. If you want to open Fridays up to be kind of tournament days or play days, you can have them play with purpose because they're actually learning these skills needed for professional level play. So hopefully that answers any questions around that. So there's a lot in here that students can go through and a lot that we can go over. I want to go through just a few more things with us here. Stop. There we go. Perfect. Does anybody have any other questions? And hopefully, Alicia, I answered your question well enough for you to understand. Perfect. Awesome. So good. Okay. All right. So a couple other things I want to go over. Does anybody have any questions before I move on to our last little bit here, and then we move into question and answers? Okay, perfect. Let me switch screens here. There we go. Please forgive my poor Zoom presentation skills. There we go. Okay, so I want to talk about support because that's the big thing. You buy this big shiny new thing, whatever it is, or you get this new curriculum or this and that. It happens all the time. How do I get support on this system? How do I get help? Because these kids know everything there is to know about esports and gaming, and tech won't let this thing through. I don't know what to do. I don't know my login, all these things. We are here to support you. Everyone on our education team was a teacher at one time, and so we understand the frustrating feeling, the helpless feeling that you're left with sometimes when you have something new or you have a directive and there is no guidance or no support. So you will have a dedicated human being that will walk you through everything. You can call them, you can email them, you can Google Meet with them, whatever you want to do, but they are there for you and for your students' success. And so they can help you with anything from curriculum support, lesson planning, and help with that, as well as tournament support, tournament prep, getting your students online, getting them registered. Every facet is covered by a human, which is awesome because it's completely dedicated for you to be successful. So I want to reiterate how important that is and how nice it is to have somebody that you can just basically call or email and can get back to you within minutes for that. Webinars, we do these webinars every other week. We have a huge selection of them on our YouTube channel, so please check that out. And every other week we do a different webinar. So we have this semester, we will do all kinds of different ones. Like I said, tech, teaching, funding, coaching, forums, a lot of different types of webinars and panels that you can participate in and learn some really cool stuff. And again, the YouTube channel, that's where a lot of the information is for education and for the support in this. We have a podcast, we have how-tos on there, and we have really, really good deep dive curriculums, which I'm going to switch over here now to curriculum videos. So and here's the channel. I hope you like and subscribe. I think by law I'm allowed to. I'm supposed to say that if you have a YouTube channel. But also, if you subscribe now, we are actually, if you subscribe before the 26th, we're going to give you a free book. So anyone on here, I know some people have already left, so they didn't get that message. But thanks for sticking with us to the end, because if you subscribe to the channel before the 26th, you could win a free book of your choice, whichever course you want. So, there's a lot of stuff on here. If you need to show this to your administrator or your board, this is the impact of gaming concepts from real teachers and real students that use it. These are our deep dive curriculum series where it goes deep on what it is and what each course does. And so those are really awesome. And then our previous webinar series, as well as streaming and shoutcasting information. So, and then links at the bottom to our other channels. So, so that's kind of where everything is, and the support that you get if you want to start esports with us. And I hope that this has been kind of a good groundbreaking for any of you that are kind of on the fence or looking into starting an esports team or program at your school. I would say it is 100% worth it, and there has been no regrets about it on my end and a lot of the teachers that we've talked to in starting this, because you can see the difference. You can see the difference. It's like mowing your lawn. You're right. It's unkempt and long and everything. You mow it, you see the difference. That's the best analogy I can come up with that for right now. But does anybody have any questions? Anything that I can answer for you? General questions about esports or starting something like this? Anything at all? Favorite color? Any questions? Okay, I'm gonna go with no on that one then. So I really appreciate everybody being on here. Thanks again for being here. I'm gonna let you guys go. This is just like teachers, right? I'm gonna let you guys go a little bit early today before the bell. So thank you so much for being here. Like and subscribe on that YouTube channel if you want to be entered in for that free book. Oh, hang on. Teresa, here we go. I'll share the link with you right here. That would be helpful, right, from the host to share the YouTube channel. There we go. So there's the YouTube channel. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I really appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, I'm gonna stick around until everybody logs off, but you guys have been great, and hopefully we will see you for another webinar in the future.